ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजम् ब्रह्मणाम् ब्रह्मणस्पतानः शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परम् ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भाम् शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ भद्रम् कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रम् पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। Dear friends, in the last class we completed the Bhashyam under the fifth mantra of the first chapter of first part of first Mundaka, that is Mundakopanishad, first Mundaka, first Khanda, fifth mantra. We completed the Bhashyam, and the last line we read was Veda Shabdena tu sarvatra Shabdarashir Vivakshitaha Shabdarashyadhigamepi Yatnantaramantarena Gurvabhigamanadi Lakshanam Vairagyancha Na Aksharadhigamas Sambhavati. So that we were saying, and the context was there was a question. You are saying that this Paravidya is something which is not, which is something you are saying that this Apara Vidya is Rigveda, Yajurveda, Atharvaveda, Samaveda, etc. And then you are distinguishing Paravidya from all these things. So which means that it is not part of the Veda. When it is not part and parcel of the Veda, it is something which has to be rejected, which has no validity, which has no pramana. So that was the doubt. So then Shankaracharya said, the Veda is at two levels. One is the Shabda Jnana and one is the Artha Jnana. Shabda Jnanam is knowing what is there in the text, knowing this Karma Kanda, knowing about rituals, how you have to perform rituals, etc., all the procedure, etc., and then just knowing it. And also it can also mean a sort of Paroksha Jnana. For example, Jnana, Vijnanam, Vijnana Sahitam. We come across these words in Bhagavad Gita Bhashya, Jnanam and Vijnanam. Jnanam is knowing a thing at an intellectual level. For example, having read these Upanishads and having read some Gita Bhashya, etc., you and I, we are aware that, okay, we are Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi, okay, technically, our intellectual level, you and I, we feel, yes, we understand the words, Tattvamasi, etc. But have we realized it? Are we experiencing it? Are we living it? That is the question. We have to live it, isn't it? You have to walk the talk. Or so that is it. Or rather, what is it? You have to live what you say, isn't it? If you are saying you are Aham Brahmasmi, you have to be like that Brahma, isn't it? So that will happen only when the mind is purified, only when the mind receives a particular level of purification. So Shankaracharya distinguishes and says that Vedas are understood at two levels. One is the ritual level and also the Paroksha Jnana about what is this Atma, etc. But there is Aparoksha Jnana, that is what is called Vijnana, that is experiencing, you are internalizing, you are actually experiencing that you are having that your individual self has vanished, your individual self called that I, that notion of I has vanished and you have merged into that ocean of consciousness. So that is the second level. And that can happen only by what he says as Yatnantaramantarena, other efforts. What are those other efforts? One is Guru Abhigamanam, that is Guru Upasadanam. You have to go to the right kind of Guru. And then Vairagyam, Guru himself cannot do anything. Guru, you are like a horse, you have to run. Guru can only tell you how to do. It's like swimming or something like that. Guru can only tell you how to do, but you have to swim. So Vairagyam can only happen by Viveka. Only when there is an understanding, analysis, only then Vairagya comes. So only then Akshara Adhigamaha. Adhigamaha means that is real attainment. Adhigama is Prapti. That is attainment. Attainment means realization. That realization can happen only by a pure mind. So that is what it is. So that is why that differentiation has been made, that distinction has been made. Paravidya, no doubt it is there mentioned in the Vedas. No doubt it is mentioned in the Vedas. But in order to experience it, your normal, say, this ego, and then your, say, all your other activities, they don't, say, they are not compatible with this Brahma Vidya. All those things you have to drop away. You have to drop out, only then you can understand this, you can realize that you are the Brahman. So that is where we stopped. So now we have to read the sixth mantra. Sixth mantra also, the introduction continues the same topic which we discussed. But then let us read the sixth mantra. Yattadadreshyam agrahyam agotram avarnam Achakshushrotram tadapanipadam Nityam vibhum sarvagatam susukshmam Tadavyayam yadbhutayonim paripashyanti dhiraha. So the general broad meaning I will tell you, then we will go to the Bhashyam. Yat tat, that which is called that supreme thing. Yat tat is, yat tat we know the words, that is that which is called the, say, the supreme reality. How to define it? Because that is something, the supreme reality, whatever you want to define, you define only by your mind, isn't it? The human mind only has to make all efforts to cognize a thing, to understand a thing, to evaluate a thing, to define a thing, isn't it? The human mind is the only thing. And the human mind can only conceptualize depending on its own capacity. Our own thinking capacity determines how you are going to define that, say, Brahman. If you are some type of a, say, a sort of faction leader, suppose you are leading a faction, then you will define God as somebody who is protecting your faction, your own race, your own, say, tribe or your own caste, and then that particular God is going to punish all other castes or all other races. So something like that you will define. But Upanishads, they don't define like that, because Upanishads, they are not the work of the people who wanted to establish an organized religion. I was telling you, Upanishad is not the work of people who wanted to establish a sort of organized religion, a type of personal God, a God who is there to say give you some moksha, give you some, send you to some heaven, or who will take away all your sins. We are not doing any such thing in Upanishad. The Upanishadic Rishi is something like a very, very, say, disinterested. Disinterested is different from uninterested. And disinterested, say, researcher. A person who has no, say, bias, no prejudice, a totally scientific way of understanding, a totally undeniable, totally logical way of understanding what is the supreme reality. So that is what we see in the Upanishads. So that is the reason why the supreme reality is something which cannot be grasped by the senses, which cannot be known, which cannot be seen or grasped by the sense organs or by the motor organs. So that is what it says. Yat tad adreshyam. That is, adreshyam is adrushyam. It is not adrushyam. It is something which is not something which can be seen or perceived by the senses. Then adreshyam means it is not something which is beyond the sense organs. Then agrahyam, it is beyond the motor organs, which cannot be caught or physically felt. Then agotram. Agotram, you know the word gotram. We all belong to some gotram. You say you belong to some Bharadwaja gotram, I belong to some other Gautamasu gotram or something like that. What is this gotram? Gotram is that rishi lineage. So originally there were some 7 rishis or something like that. These saptarshis in different combinations, not only these saptarshis but some other rishis also in different combinations, permutations, combinations. There is a particular gotram. So you have descended from that rishi. So that is what we say. And here in the case of that rishi means that there is an origin. There is some place where you can trace back. But then here it is not like that. Agotram. Agotram means there is no such lineage. I was telling you the story of Shiva Kalyanam. Shiva Kalyanam, Parvati Kalyanam in some other Bhashyam. Of course I can repeat that story. You see, when Shiva and Parvati, they were getting married, the Purohits, whoever performs them, the Rishis and Munis, they know pretty well that Lord Shiva is something which is supreme. So, but then still they ask, say while during marriage, they take the father's name, grandfather's name and great-grandfather's name, isn't it? So they take all the three generations. They take all the three generations of the bride, three generations of the bridegroom. They say that, okay, these two people, they belong to such great lineage and these two people are getting married and then this is for the cause of dharma and whatnot. So that is how you find in marriages. So there they ask, say this gentleman, Shiva, who is your father? So he says, my father is Brahma. Okay, what is Brahma's father? Who is Brahma's father? Brahma's father is Vishnu. Then who is Vishnu's father? Vishnu's father is myself. So that is what he says. How can that be? So which means there is no great distinction between Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. So that is what that portion also says. Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva are our own visualizations in that cosmic, say Hiranyagarbha Tattva, in that cosmic thing called, cosmic intellect called Hiranyagarbha Tattva or Brahma as we call it. We have seen the difference between Brahman and Brahma. So anyway, that is agotram. You can't take back. That is something which is beyond. There is no origin for that. Then avarnam. Varna means a quality, a characteristic. So there are no characteristics. There are no properties of that. Then achakshushrotram. And it is something which doesn't have the sense organs. Though it knows everything and it is the cause of intelligence and whatnot, all that, but still it is achakshushrotram. Of course, we are going to see the explanation. Apanipadam. It is something which doesn't have limbs. That is, it is not an avayavi. Any avayavi means it is something which is parichinna. It is limited. Suppose an avayavi. Avayavi means that which has an avayava or a limb is an avayavi. Anything which is having some parts, it is something which is limited, isn't it? Suppose a god, it may be a very, very huge structure. We nowadays prepare huge statues, 150 feet or 200 feet, something like that. So like that, suppose you visualize some god who is covering all this right from here to this sun, or you visualize such god. Even if you visualize a god from earth to sun, still it is a very microscopic thing in this huge cosmos, isn't it? So whatever you visualize, whatever you can visualize in the mind as having a shape and organs, etc., it is something which is limited. However big it can be. So it cannot be having any limbs. Then nityam. Nityam is another. Nityam is to say that it is beyond time. We know that we have got three types of awareness. Generally, desha, kala, vastu, we know. These three, what are these three things? Desha, Kala and Vastu. These are three types of awareness. In fact, Akhandananda Saraswati, he explains them in a beautiful way. Akhandananda Maharaj, I refer to his lectures now and then. He explains them in a beautiful way. They say we have three types of awareness. That is the awareness of, say, Desha. That is, I am here. So I am, say, after some time I will go somewhere else. So my mind is tuned to understand or appreciate something called a desha, a particular place. Similarly, I go to some other place and I know that it is a different place. So that desha awareness is there in the mind. Similarly, there is what is called kala awareness. Kala means in the morning, say I had some coffee in the morning. Then after that I had a bath, did some puja and all those things in a particular sequence. Thereafter there is a breakfast and now I have come to the class. So what are all these things? These are all experiences in my mind. I had a coffee in the morning. That experience is there in my mind. Then from that time, after that I did some other thing. That experience is there in my mind. Thereafter some breakfast, that experience is in my mind. So a series of experiences which are there in the mind, we are calling it kalam. A series of experiences in this consciousness. In this consciousness, there are series of vrittis. Consciousness, there is no change. Consciousness, in this consciousness, there are all these vritti. Vritti means thought. There are so many thought frames or memory as you call it. So that is why vritti is called a jada. Because vritti keeps changing. Whereas consciousness doesn't change. So vritti is called jada for that. So different vrittis they take place and this consciousness is a sakshi for those vrittis, isn't it? Yes. So this sort of sequence of events which happen in the mind, which are cognized in this consciousness, that is the notion of, that is what we call kalam. So there is an awareness of desha, there is an awareness of kala. Then again, I also have another awareness. I am different from this glass, I am different from you, I am different from this pen, etc. There is a vastu differentiation. So that also we know. So there is desha, kala, vastu differentiation for all the beings who have this limited vision. For all of us who have this limited vision, there is a desha, kala, vastu paricheda. And anything which is having this desha, kala, vastu paricheda means limitation. Suppose you visualize God, as I said, a huge, say person, let us say. So at the cosmic level, you visualize a huge thing. So still, it is something which is conceived by the mind, something which is there. It becomes a vishaya or subject matter for the mind. So when my mind is able to cognize it, then it is something which is, my mind is superior to that, because my mind is able to cognize that. So from that point of view, anything which is having a shape, a name or shape, and then anything which is limited by space, anything which is limited by time, anything which is defined as a vastu, it is something which is basically delimited. So here we are seeing three words, nityam. Nityam, to show that this Brahman is something which is beyond time. Past, present and future. In fact, time is only an appearance. Maya kalpita deshakala kalana chitri krutam. That is what we see in Dakshinamurti Stotram. The Maya kalpita deshakala kalana. This calculation, kalana means calculation actually. Kalanam means calculation. So deshakala kalana, this calculation called desha and kala, it is something which is Maya kalpita. Maya kalpita means not exactly magic. In that supreme consciousness, we have this potential called this, there is an appearance called this Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha is that first notion of I, the first notion of self. When that notion of self comes, then only this desha, kala situation arises. Till that time, there is no desha or kala. So that is why this is nitya, means this is beyond that maya, which is beyond that desha, kala, kalana, which is beyond that maya. This is the supreme consciousness. Nothing to do with this maya, with Chinna Chaitanya also. So that is it. Then vibhu. Vibhu means that which is appearing as all. Vividham bhavati. Vividham bhavati. That which is appearing as everything else. Then sarvagatam. Sarvagatam is which is there, present in all, or which is pervading all. This is in other words, it is infinity. Anantam. That is anantam is shown here. Then susukshmam. Susukshmam means it has no properties or characteristics. Only when something is having some characteristics, it is something which is called a gross. Sukshma is something which is subtle, which is the karanam for everything, which is the origin for everything. And then tad avyayam, and that is something which is unchanging, not at all changing, undiminishing rather, undiminishing, imperishable. Vyaya means diminishing, isn't it? Avyayam means undiminishing, unchanging. Then yat bhuta yonim, that which is the bhuta yoni. Yoni means karanam, the origin, the place, the source of origin. So bhuta yoni means that is the source for all the beings. All the beings, they originate from that. Then such a thing, paripashyanti dhiraha. Paripashyanti is again a beautiful word. Pashyanti means they see. Paripashyanti means they see all around. They see everywhere. Paripashyanti dhiraha. Dhiraha means wise people. Dhira does not mean a valorous person who can fight 10 people, but dhira means wise people. Paripashyanti, that means they see it everywhere, means they see this Atman, they see this supreme reality in everything. Paripashyanti. They don't look at objects as objects, but they look at the world as nothing but a manifestation of Brahman. So that is it. They look at the wise people, they look at the world as the manifestation of Brahman. You and I may be looking at the world as various things and then various objects of enjoyment, etc. Whereas a dhira, a wise man, looks at the whole thing as a manifestation of the divine. So manifestation of Brahman, let us say. So now let us see the Bhashyam. यथा विधि विषये कर्त्राद्यनेक कारकोपसंहारद्वारेण वाक्यार्थज्ञानकालादन्यत्र अनुष्ठेयोऽर्थो अस्ति अग्निहोत्रादिलक्षणो न तथेह पराविद्या विषये वाक्यार्थज्ञान समकाल एव तु पर्यवसितो भवति. Okay. Next line also we can read. केवल शब्द प्रकाशित अर्थज्ञान मात्र निष्ठा व्यतिरिक्ताभावात्. Good. Okay. So here again, what we discussed earlier in the introduction, what I said, that is, in Karma Kanda. In Karma Kanda, what do we see? In Karma Kanda, there is a Karta. Karta means the person who is performing that yajna or some ritual, whatever it is. Then Karta. And Karta alone cannot perform it. Karta needs the help of some Purohit or somebody who is a person who is chanting the mantras, etc. And these two alone are not enough. There is a need for some other sadhanani, some other, say, you have to procure some proper dravya, some firewood and some oblations, you have to procure some ghee and all those things. So, that means karta, then aneka sadhana. Sadhana means all these means. All these things, they are needed after you know the vakyartha jnana. First of all, somebody who is performing this yajna, he should read the vakyartha, he should know the vakyartha first. He should know, say for example, you are performing some yagam, Chandi yagam. Recently we have seen Chandi yagam. So we have to see what Chandi yagam, of course, is not a Vedic thing. It is not a Shrauta yagam. So far as I know, it is a Smarta yagam. Okay, anyway, I will not comment on this because I am not sure. People say that it is not there in Veda. It is sometime later. So anyway, suppose you do some other ishti. So some other ishti, for example, Kari Reshti, which is very much there in the Veda. The person who performs that, who has to recite the mantra, etc., he should be thoroughly aware of the meaning. Jnatva karmani kurvita is the rule in all these rituals. That is, only after knowing the full meaning and the full import of that, the whole procedure, you have to do that. Without knowing it, you are not supposed to do. So anyway, which means you first read it, you understand it, and then you perform it, isn't it? So that means there is a reading takes place initially, and after reading, then you do some action, isn't it? So, but in the case of Brahma Jnana, you read, you understand. Not only read, of course, you go to a teacher. Not merely reading here, you go to the teacher, you have this Chitta Shuddhi, etc. And then, with that pure frame of mind, you listen to the Vakyartha. You listen to the Veda, say what the Upanishads say. Then, after that, once you realize that you are Brahman, there is nothing else to be done. It is not simple Paroksha Jnana. We are now not talking about the simple Paroksha Jnana. We are talking about a person who has undergone that sadhana, who has achieved the sadhana chatushtaya, and then who has achieved that level of purification, and then reads. So he reads. Not merely reads on his own, he goes to a guru and then he learns. Once he understands, there is nothing to be done. So in the case of a vidhi, you understand the meaning and then you have to perform an action. But here, you understand and you are happy about it. There is nothing further to be done. So not that, it doesn't mean that we have to totally condemn. Of course, here we have to guard ourselves against one thing. Because we find some tendency on the part of some teachers, maybe you may find some teachers saying that, okay, all this, say, yajna, yaga, etc., all the rituals are trash. We are not supposed to trash it because that is something like, that is part and parcel of Karma Yoga. How can you trash it? Karma Yoga is, as Akhandananda Saraswati says, a Karma Yoga is a detergent. Karma Yoga is the detergent. You are in the bathroom, so you apply the finest detergent, the finest soap in the world, let us say. And after applying the finest soap, you don't come out like that. You again wash it. You again wash it off. First of all, you wash all the, say, body, say, dirt, with that, and then you don't come out with all that lather or foam. You wash it off also and then come. So similarly, Karma Yoga is needed for cleaning the mind. Karma Yoga is needed for washing off the Chitta Malam. Thereafter, you have to slowly, that gets dropped. And then, of course, if you are a Gruhastha, and Gruhastha also can be a Jnani. And if Gruhastha is a Jnani, it does not mean that he has to stop all the karmas. There is what is called a Gruhastha Ashrama Dharma. You are supposed to train your son. You are supposed to be a role model for your, say, brother and all the people who are younger to you. So, which means, though you are a Jnani, for the sake of Loka Sangraha, you will be doing karma. For the sake of Loka Sangraha, to be a role model for the people. And that famous line from Gita we have to always remember. What is that? Sakta karmanya vidvamso yatha kurvanti bharata. That line we have to always remember. Sakta karmani avidvamsaha yatha kurvanti bharata. Kuryad vidvans tatha saktaha tatha asaktaha chikirshur lokasangraham. That is what it says. That is, just as an ordinary man performs all these rituals, having interest in the fruit of it, this Jnani, this realized person, he also should perform these things, but without desire for the fruit. And this Jnani, for the sake of being a role model for the people, for Loka Sangraha. Loka Sangraha means, in order to be a good role model and then to set up a good, say, norm in the society. Otherwise, people say, okay, this gentleman is not going to temple, this gentleman is not performing Sandhya Vanda, this gentleman is not doing any puja. You say the people will say follow that. Nowadays there is a group called spiritual but not religious. If they are okay, spiritual but not religious is okay, but then you may not be setting a good model for your own son, because you may be spiritually inclined and whatnot. But then your son may not get the same spiritual discipline unless the man also, this boy also is properly schooled. Unless he is also properly schooled right from the beginning about say what is say the supreme reality and how you have to approach life, etc. So that is why we should not totally trash this karma kanda. We should not trash it saying that all this is it is totally useless, you discard it, etc. It has its own place. It is like the purificatory agent. It is something like the detergent. So here, let us, if we see, come back to this Bhashyam, Yatha Vidhi Vishaye means relating to Karma Kanda. Vidhi, you know. All this Vidhi means an injunction. All these injunctions and prohibitions, they come in the Karma Kanda. And like in the case of Karma Kanda, Kartradi Aneka Karaka Upasamhara Dvarena. Karta, Adi. Karta, then the Purohita, etc. Then Aneka, Karaka means sadhanam, means various tools. Upasamhara means bringing together. You have to collect all those things. Upasamhara dvarena, by bringing together so many things. Then Vakyartha Jnana Kalad Anyatra, at a time which is different from Vakyartha Jnana Kalam. You read it first and thereafter. Vakyartha Jnana Kalam is in the beginning. Anyatra means some other time. At a time which is different from Vakyartha, from the time of study. You study it first and then later perform. Then Anyatra, Anushtheya Arthaha Asti. There is something to be performed. Anushtheya means something to be performed. Some activity is to be performed there. Asti, Agnihotradi Lakshanaha. Agnihotradi Lakshanaha means generally which is characterized by, which is of the nature of Agnihotram, etc. Na tathaiha paravidya vishaye. Here, paravidya vishaye, in the case of this supreme knowledge, that no such activity is there. No such thing, nothing is there to be performed. So that is it. Then, vakyartha jnana samakale evatu parivasito bhavati. The purpose is totally served. The purpose is totally over when you realize the meaning of that Veda Vakya. Suppose that Tattvamasi or Aham Brahmasmi, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma, you realize the meaning of these words, sentences for example. Then, thereafter, nothing else is there to be achieved, nothing else is there to be performed. Paryavasito bhavati means the purpose gets completed. Paryavasita. Paryavasanam, you know. Paryavasanam means that final, that is the end. Paryavasanam, that is the finishing. Paryavasitaha means the purpose is completed. The purpose is completed by mere simultaneous with understand. Samakala eva. Samakala eva means simultaneous with understanding the vakyartha. Understanding the or realizing the meaning of that, say, Mahavakya. Then that is what he says. Kevala Shabda Prakashita Arthajnana Matra Nishtha Vyatirikta Bhavat. There is nothing other than, say, Arthajnana Matra Nishtha. There is nothing beyond. There is nothing beyond this Arthajnana Nishtha. That is, you have to first understand the Artham, the meaning of it, and then you have to abide in that. Nishtha means staying firm in that. You stay firm in that knowledge. Stay firm in that awareness. Apart from staying firm in that awareness, there is nothing much to be done. Apart from staying firm in the awareness which has been given by Shabda. Kevala Shabda Prakashita. Shabda Prakashita means the Shabda only has to give that meaning, isn't it? Shabda gives that meaning. Shabda illumines. Prakashita means illumined by or given by. So you have to just abide in that sense of awareness which has been given by the Shabda. Apart from that, there is nothing further to be done. So that is it. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tasmadiha Param Vidyam Savisheshena Aksharena Vishinashti.
Param Vidyam Savisheshanena Aksharena Vishinashti.
Savisheshanena Aksharena Vishinashti. So that is why Tasmat means that is why Iha here Param Vidyam Vishinashti. He is distinguishing this Para Vidya. How? Savisheshena Aksharena. Akshara here means a mantra. Akshara by a mantra which is having so many adjectives, which is giving so many adjectives. Savisheshena. So many adjectives are given. Though the adjectives, most of the adjectives are by way of negating. Not this, not this, not this. Adrishya, adreshya, agrahya, achakshusrotra. That is something like neti, neti. Not this, not this. So by way of negating so many things, it is giving. So, Vishinashti, yat tad adreshyam ityadina. That is starting with the line, yat tad adreshyam, etc. Then, Vaksyamanam buddhau samhrutya.
Vaksyamanam buddhau samhrutya.
Siddhavat param vrushyate.
Siddhavat param vrushyate.
Yat tad iti.
Yat tad iti.
Yat tad. Yat tad is that which. So, that which. So, Vaksyamanam means the thing which is going to be told. Vaksyamanam. Buddhau samhrutya. Having say, thought of in the mind. Samhrutya. Samhara, you know. Samhara means taking, not killing. Samhara is upasamhara. Here, upasamhrutya. Samhrutya means not samhara. Upasamhrutya. That means having collected what all he has to say in the mind. What all he has to say, he has collected in the mind. And then, Siddhavat paramrishyate. That is, he is projecting it as something which is known. Siddhavat means something which is known, well known. So which means, though it is something which is not so well known, the Upanishad is conceptualizing it, because we know that this Brahman is something which is beyond words. But without words, how can you explain also? So you have to use some words. So that is the point here. Though it is something which is beyond words, the Upanishad has to use some words. So that is the meaning. Vaksyamanam buddhau samhrutya, having summarized or having collected what all it has to say, Siddhavat paramrishyate. Siddhavat, as though it is an existing object. So it is referred to like that, yat taditi. So now we come to adreshyam. Adreshyam adrusyam.
Adreshyam adrusyam.
Sarvesham buddhindriyanam agamyam ityetat.
Sarvesham buddhindriyanam agamyam ityetat.
Drusher bahishpravrittasya.
Drusher bahishpravrittasya.
Panchendriya dvarakatvat.
Panchendriya dvarakatvat.
Okay. So Adreshyam he is explaining. Adreshyam is the Vedic, that is a Chandasa way of saying Adrushyam. Adrushyam. That means, it is not a Drusyam. Drusyam is something which is seen. Whatever is seen is something which is limited, isn't it? Whatever is seen, not merely by the eye, but whatever is felt by the, say, 5 sense organs, it is something which is limited. So, but here it is Adreshyam, Adrushyam. Sarvesham buddhindriyanam agamyam. it is beyond the scope or beyond the reach of these five sense organs, beyond the reach of the five sense organs. Then drushehe bahishpravurtasya panchendriya dvarakatvat, which means this druk or intelligence is something, how is it structured in the human mind? Let us recall the line of Kathopanishad. Kathopanishad says, Paranchi khani vyaturunat swayambhu. That is, these so-called five sense organs, they are only just created to look outside. So this jnanam, whatever jnanam is reflected in our mind, this jnanam through these indriyas, it is just going outside. Jnanam through the indriyas, through the sense organs, it is going outside and trying to perceive the external world. So that is how the human brain is structured, human mind is structured. So that is what we see here. Drushehe, this intelligence, bahish pravrittasya, when it goes out, when this in the intelligence, while it is going out through the panchendriya. The five indriyas, the five sense organs are the doors. Dwara means a door. So these five indriyas are the doors. So that is what we have to recall. That is, the human mind human intelligence is so structured that antahkarana, whatever consciousness is reflecting, it is going out through the sense organs. And so it means we are not able to look inside. We are not able to look inwards. We are only able to see outwards. Then agrahyam karmendriya vishayam ityetat. Karmendriya avishayam. Avishayam is not the subject. Avishayam is not the subject matter for karmendriya. So very, very clear. Then agotram. Gotram anvayo moolam. Iti anarthantaram. Okay. Agotram. Agotram means there is no gotram. What is gotram? Gotram means anvaya. Anvaya means anuaya. That which follows anvaya. In shloka also you say anvaya. The anvaya among the words. What is the connection? What is the link? One after the other, one after the other. That is what is called anvaya. Anuaya. Anu means after. Aya means gati. Moving. One moving after the other. That is, words in a sentence have to be in a sequence. Otherwise the words will not, the sentence will not give any meaning. So that is what is called anvaya. So here, anvaya means the family line, father to son, and then father to son, son, next is son, so like that. Anvaya, that is moolam. Moolam. Anvaya is also called moolamiti. Anarthantaram. Anarthantaram means, not arthantaram means, so that is samanarthakam. It is synonym. Anarthantaram means it is a synonym. Gotram or anvaya or moolam, they all mean the same. That is what it means. Arthantaram means different meaning. Na arthantaram means it doesn't have any different meaning. Means it is synonymous. Arthantaram, you know, like Gramantaram. Gramantaram means another village. Arthantaram means another meaning. Na arthantaram means it doesn't give a different meaning. Means it is the same meaning. So that means Gotram, Anvaya, Moolam, they are synonymous terms. That is it. That is what it means. Agotram ananvayam ityarthaha. So agotram means there is no say moolam, there is no root or origin for that. That is, consciousness is something which is not born. So that is what the point is. Consciousness is something which is not born. In the sense that if consciousness is born, who is the drashta, who is the seer, who is the person who is seeing that? Suppose I say something is born. I am there as a witness to see that. Suppose I say consciousness is born. Then who is there to watch it? Another consciousness should be there. And for watching that, another consciousness should be there. So that means that goes to an infinite regress. So which means that our consciousness is something which is always there, which is the only thing which is always there. So that is nahitasya moolam. Then where are we? Ananvaya mityartha. Nahitasya moolamasti yena anvitam syat. So there is no root to which it can be connected. Yena anvitam syat means to which it can be connected. There is no moolam, there is no root, but to which it can be connected. Then now we are coming to avarnam. Varnyanta iti varnaha. Varnyanta is varnyante, one and the same. Iti varnaha dharma, dravya dharmaha. Sthulattvadayaha shuklattvadayova. Avidyamana varnayasya
avidyamana varna yasya
tad avarnam aksharam.
tad avarnam aksharam.
Okay. So here, varna. For example, varna, we should not be confused with Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, those varnas. Varna means, the word varna has several meanings. Varna means, one meaning of varna is letters. Letters means A, I, E, U. These are all the letters, or A, B, C, D in English. They are all the alphabet as we call. They are the varnas. Varna also means properties. Varnyante. Varnyante means that which is they are used for, they are described. You see, how is it mentioned here? Varnyante iti varnaha. They describe a thing. They describe a thing. Varnyante iti varnaha. They describe a particular object. So that is why they are called varnaha. Dravya dharmaha. That is, unless there is a property, how can you describe it? Suppose I want to describe this particular pen. So there is a property to this. And with the help of this property, I am able to describe it. So that means that property or varna is describing this pen, isn't it? Is defining this pen. So which means that varnyate, that word, that particular property is describing this. Iti dharmaha. What are those properties? Like stulatvadaya. Stulatva means grossness. That is, that physically they should be appearing. Or shuklatvadaya. Shuklatva is something which is seen by the eye. The color. A color which can be seen, or some size which can be felt. So sthulatva, shuklatvadaya. Any type of property. Any type of property is say included here. Then avidyamanaha varnaha yasya. So where such varnaha, where there is no name or form to distinguish it, all these names and forms only, they are the features which distinguish various objects. So here there are no such names or forms. So that is why it is called avarnam. So aksharam, tad avarnam, aksharam. That is something which is undiminishing, imperishable. That is our aksharam. Then the next word is achakshushrotram. Chakshuscha shrotram cha namarupa vishaye karane sarvajantunam.
Chakshuscha shrotram cha namarupa vishaye karane sarvajantunam.
Te avidyamane yasya tad achakshushrotram.
Te avidyamane
Yasya tad achakshushrotram.
Tad achakshushrotram.
Okay. The next word is achakshushrotram. That means chakshu is eye, shrotram is ear. Achakshushrotram means it doesn't have these, these sense organs. What is the import of it? Chakshuscha shrotram cha. This chakshu and shrotram, this eye and the ear, they are namarupa vishaye karane sarvajantunam. Karane is, it is not in saptami vibhakti, it is dvivachana. Karanam, karane, karanani. That way. Namarupa vishaye means, here again it is not dvivachana. It is in the saptami vibhakti. Namarupa vishaye means in the context of name and form. Namarupa vishaye, in the context of name and form. This karane, these two things are the tools. Sarvajantunam. So this chakshu and shrotra, in the context of this name and form, they are the tools which are available with all beings, not only human beings. Then te avidyamane yasya tad achakshu shrotra. These two things, te here is tatte tani. That this is dvivachana, not bahuvachana. Te avidyamane, these chakshu shrotram, which are the tools for cognition of this name and form, they are not there in this say Brahman. That is why it is called achakshu shrotram. So then a question arises: what about sentences like yes, sarvagyaha, sarvavit, etc. You see, you are also describing Brahman as not as something which is some huge dull rock. Brahman is not a huge dull rock which doesn't know anything. Brahman is what is described as consciousness. And we are also finding statements like yes, sarvagyaha, sarvavit. We are using that word sarvagya, that is knowing, all knowing, omniscient. Where we want to say, describe God as omniscient. We don't want to describe God as something which is knows only a little bit or something like that. Then sarvavit, that is all knowing. Ityadi. So let us read it first. Yes, sarvagyaha, sarvavit ityadi.
यः सर्वज्ञः सर्ववित् इत्यादि
चेतनावत्व विशेषणत्वात्
चेतनावत्व विशेषणत्वात्
प्राप्तं संसारिणामिव चक्षुश्रोत्रादिभिः करणैः अर्थसाधकत्वं तदिह अचक्षुश्रोत्रमिति वार्यते पश्यत्यचक्षुः स शृणोत्यकर्णः इत्यादि दर्शनात् शृणोत्यकर्णः पश्यत्यचक्षुः स शृणोत्यकर्णः. Okay. So the point is, we are also describing this Brahman as yes Sarvajnaha, Sarvavit, that which knows all, and then Sarvavit, that again is Sarvajna and Sarvavit are one and the same. Sarvajna, in fact, it is defined at two levels. When you say Sarvajnam, it refers to Sarvam, the all thing, and also it is Jna. Jna means it is of the nature of consciousness. Sarvajnaha, when you say, that is, you are referring to it as a masculine, the masculine gender, Sarvajnaha, you are referring to it as though it is a person. Which means, you are referring to the Hiranyagarbha Brahma, which is that Brahma who by virtue of all the beings, by virtue of the limbs of all beings, so all the limbs of all beings are illumined by him only. All the limbs, all the sense organs of all the beings are illumined by Brahma, this Hiranyagarbha Brahma only. So that cosmic intelligence only is illumining all the small petty intelligences, isn't it? So like that, through these intelligences, through these petty sense organs and through these petty intellects, the same Brahman, it is referred to as all-knowing. It is not as though he keeps an account of what all you do and then keeps, an account of all these things. It says that all the buddhindriyani of all the beings, they are not different from that cosmic intellect only. So in that sense it is called Sarvajna. Yes, Sarvajnaha, Sarvavit also is the same. Ityadi, Chetanavatva Visheshanat. Chetanavatva means having intelligence. Chetana is intelligence. Chetanavatva means having intelligence or sentience, let us say, we can say. Sentience. Ityadi Visheshanatvat. That means because such Visheshanam means such an adjective, such sort of attribute has been mentioned here. Praptam means it follows. It follows that samsarinamiva chakshusrotrādibhih karanaihi arthasadakatvam. Can we also say that this Brahma, like all of us, samsari, you know, what is samsari? Samsarati iti samsari. One who moves from womb to womb, from birth to another birth, from birth to another birth, the person who moves is called a samsari. Samsaranam means keeping just rotating in this wheel of samsara. So samsarinamiva chakshusrotrādibhih, by means of this eye, by means of our indriyas, arthasadhakatvam. Arthasadhakatvam means serving a purpose. Artham means a purpose. Arthasadhakatvam means achieving a purpose. So is he, like all of us, attaining knowledge through these chakshusrotras? It is not like that. You see, by saying that yes, Sarvajna, Sarvavit, then the two words, Sarvajna, Sarvavit, may imply. They don't imply. The question, it is only a Purvapaksha question. The Sarvajna and Sarvavit, because these two words are used, it may imply, or somebody may say, that this Lord also, or Brahman also, he is someone like us, and then who is doing this Artha Sadhakatva means he also wants to know what all he knows. He knows through a bigger, telescope, let us say. We are seeing through these eyes, and he has such a great bigger telescope, and he is having some sort of supercomputer or supercomputer. It's not like that. So Artha Sadhakatvam, tad iha achakshusrotramiti varyate. So in order to avoid such an understanding, here it is said it is achakshusrotram. In order to avoid the misunderstanding that it is also like us having some huge, sense organs, etc., it is said it is achakshusrotram. Then how are you going to reconcile? Then another Shruti, he says, pashyati achakshuhu. It is something which knows everything, achakshuhu. It sees, but then it has no chakshu. And then Shrunot Yakarnaha, it listens, but then it doesn't have ear. What does it mean? It means that all the sense organs of all the beings, they are nothing but a reflection of that, say, supreme, Hiranyagarbha Brahma only. So that is why, what is the first line of Purusha Sukta? Sahasra Shirsha Purushaha. And initially we think, oh, this Purusha is somebody who is having 1,000 heads. And then there is a great misunderstanding among our so-called, say the modern, say what can we say, intellectuals. Because these intellectuals, they never bother to know Sanskrit. So they say, oh, your Brahma is somebody who is having 1,000 heads. Why not 999 heads or 1,001 heads? So such foolish arguments people can make. 1,000 means innumerable. Sahasra means innumerable. The meaning of Sahasra there is innumerable, uncountable. Sahasra Shirsha Purusha, Sahasraksha, Sahasrapat doesn't mean that he has 1,000 heads, 1,000 eyes. That means each head having only one eye. And Sahasrapat, 1,000 legs. It doesn't mean 1,000. It means innumerable, countless. So that means that the cosmic, say, being as we call it, all the beings which are there in the world, their intelligence, their sense organs, they are all derived from that only. So that is the meaning. Achakshuhu pasyatya chakshuhu sashrunot yakarnaha ityadi darshanat. Kincha tad apanipadam karmendriya rahitam ityetat. So that is apanipadam. Then again, apani means hand, pada means leg, foot. Pada is pedestal, peda. Pada and peda, the cognate. So apanipadam, that is something which doesn't have any karmendriya. Karmendriya means the organs of action. Then yata evam agrahyam agrahakam cha ato nityam avinashi. So this is something which is agrahyam. This is something which cannot be, say, grasped. Grahya, graha, graha means to grab, to hold. Then agrahakam, it is something which cannot be perceived, nor that it is also perceived, it is also grabbing something or grasping something. Because in order to grasp, it has to have some limbs. This is something which does not have any limbs. So this is something which cannot be grasped, nor does it grasp anything because it doesn't have any limbs. Ataha nityam avinashi. Therefore it is called nityam, avinashi. This is something which is nitya means avinashi. It doesn't decay. It is always there. Then vibhum. Vividham brahmadi sthavaranta pranibhedaihi bhavati iti vibhum. So vibhu. Vibhu. Vi is vividham. Bhu comes from the same root bhu, bhavati. Bhu dhatu, bhavati. Vividham bhavati. That is one thing, that one cosmic thing, intelligence, it is appearing as so many. Vividham bhavati. And what are those so many? Brahmadi. Brahmadi. That is starting from that Hiranyagarbha Brahma. The same consciousness which is manifesting right from that Brahma, right up to Sthavara. Sthavara means something which is insentient. Sthavara. It can mean a tree. Tree, of course, a tree has life. But then the stone, everything. Sthavara. Sthavara actually, Sthavara, Jangama, these two words we know. Sthavara means that which doesn't move, it stays. Then Jangama means it moves, keeps moving. Jangama means animals, etc. And Sthavara means either a tree or even a stone, etc. Brahmadi Sthavaranta. Here, of course, he says Prani Bhedaihi Bhavati. He is talking about Prani. So we can include trees only and not stones. Prani Bhedaihi Bhavati iti Vibhum. So this is something which is Vibhu. It doesn't mean that stones are not included. Stone also is part and parcel of this thing. That also has some little bit of intelligence. The only thing is it is not manifest in that. So Bhavati iti Vibhum. Then Sarvagatam Vyapakam Akashavat.
Sarvagatam Vyapakam Akashavat.
So the meaning of Sarvagatam means Sarvagata means which is there everywhere. Akashavat. Akasha is something which is defined as Avakasha Datru Akashaha. That is, Akasha is something which gives room for everybody, which gives room for everything. You can't break into pieces and you can't encompass it. Akasha, samantat kashate iti akasha. That is that which is shining everywhere. Kasha. Kasha means to shine. Prakasha. Asamantat kashate is akasha. That is that which shines everywhere. So, akashavat, it is sarvavyapakam. It is something which is vyapaka. It is present everywhere. Then susukshmam,
Susukshmam.
shabdadi sthulatva karana rahitatvat.
Shabdadi sthulatva karana rahitatvat.
Shabdadayohi
Shabdadayohi
akasha vaivyadinam uttarottaram sthulatva karanani
Akasha vayamvyadinam uttarottaram sthulatva karanani
tad abhavat susukshmam.
tad abhavat susukshmam.
So he is explaining the word susukshmam. Sukshmam itself means which is subtle. Susukshmam, it is very, very subtle. How? Shabdadi sthulatva karana rahitatvat. So anything starting from Shabda, we have got five, Vishayas, that is Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasagandha. 5 type of objects for the sense organs. That is Shabdadi. If there is a Shabda or a sound, that is something which is perceived by the ear. Shabda Gunakam Akasham, we say the space is associated with Shabda. Then earth is associated with the smell, sense of smell. So like that, the 5 senses are associated with the 5, Panchabhutas, the 5 elements. So but here, that Shabda is Sthulatva Karana. So there is no such Karana. Sthulatva, it is only when it is there, it is only when there is a Vishaya. Vishaya means Sthulam. Sthulam means grass, something which can be felt. Sthula doesn't mean huge or anything. In a different context it may mean huge, but here sthula means something which is perceived by the senses. So sukshma is something which is beyond senses. So shabdadayohi, this shabda etc., akasha vayuvadinam, that is from this akasha, vayu etc., uttarottaram sthulatva karanani. These are the things successively, uttarottaram sthulatva karanani. This is from Akashad, Vayu, Ragni, etc., from one to another, from one to another, all these things, all these grass things have derived. Grasser and grasser. Akasha is more subtle. Then Akashad, Vayu is less subtle. Then fire is less subtle than Vayu. So in that line, more and more sthula objects have come into existence. Then Tadabhavat Susushmam. This is Susushmam because there is no such thing, all these things are not there in that supreme reality. Then Kincha Tad Avyayam Ukta Dharmatvadeva Navyeti iti Avyayam. Okay. Then Kincha, moreover, Tad Avyayam, Tat particular Brahman is Avyayam, it does not vyeti, there is no diminishing, there is no depletion or diminishing from that thing. Nahi what is this? Anangasya Swapangachaya Lakshano Vyayaha. It's not Swapanga, Swanga Apachaya Lakshano Vyayaha. Sambhavati Sharirasyeva Napi Koshapachaya Lakshano Vyayas Sambhavati Rajnyaiva. So Nahi Anangasya. For this Ananga, Ananga means limb, Ananga means limbless. There is another meaning for Ananga. There is a rude hertha for Ananga. Ananga means Manmatha. Manmatha is called Ananga because Lord Shiva is said to have burnt him by his looks. So, but then Manmatha's wife Rati Devi requests Lord Shiva, and then Lord Shiva grants her a boon. Okay, he will be visible to you only. He will not be visible to others. So something like that he gave a boon. So that is why he is called Ananga. But here, of course, we are not referring to that. That is a Puranic story. Ananga means Achakshushotram Apanipadam. It is not an Avayavi. Niravayavi. Ananga here means Niravayavi. So for a Niravayavi, Swanga Apachaya Lakshano Vyayahana Sambhavati. Sharirasyeva. For a body, there can be apachaya. Apachaya means just decay, attrition, let us say. Say apachaya, the opposite is upachaya. Upachaya means collecting, gathering, strengthening. And apachaya means gradual attrition. The body, gradually, there is an attrition in the body, it decays. So here, swanga apachaya lakshanaha, swa anga. one's own limbs. Apachaya means decay, decrease or attrition. Such sort of vyaya, such sort of diminishing does not take place. And napi koshapachaya lakshano vyaya sambhavati rajnyaiva. Or nor in the like in the case of a king, rajnyaiva. For a king, suppose there is a huge treasury. In that huge treasury, he keeps on spending money. And as he keeps on spending money, the money depletes. So something like that, such a depletion is not there in this. Such a depletion is not there in this supreme consciousness. So that is why it is called avyaya. Okay, we'll continue in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti